catch. Call the meeting to order. And so now we'll have roll call. Mr. Wheeler, to say here. This is just to make sure we have a quorum. Just say here.
Roll call.
Roll call?
Yeah.
Yes, do I have to say I'm here?
Mark Kilburn,
For the record.
Present.
Danny Parton,
Here.
Elisa Pinkerton,
Here.
Brian Aiken.
I'm here.
and Nancy Miller here.
Okay. I want to make a motion to approve the minutes. Okay, do I have a second?
Do we need to do the
I mean,
pledge and
I
all
said
the
the-
silence?
Yeah. Well, our agenda, when I said minutes, our agenda, I meant agenda.
Approve our agenda. Okay.
Yeah. Our agenda tonight. Approve our agenda tonight.
Okay.
Okay.
I
Do I
thought you
have, do I have a
I
second?
thought you said minutes. Second.
All right.
Yeah, I did say. Yeah. Sorry. Okay. All in favor, just raise your hand. Okay. All right, we'll have a moment of silence and pledge allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the
flag
of
the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So just before we do the public comments, I just want to say a few things. I really appreciate and am honored to be the chair here of the library board, voted in by our peers. I want to serve well. I want to the library be a place for all people, the community, and come in, the whole community, a place where families come in and all will enjoy. We're creating that atmosphere. And so I want to keep that going, okay? So, and then also leading in the way of the finances, the budgets, et cetera, making sure we have adequate funds to keep going, and not only keep going, but growing, and also to be able to come up with ways even more than we have now of being able to reach out to the community and let them be aware of what's going on at the library and let them come in and be a part of it as well. That's just some of the things I've been thinking about. So thank you so much. So public comments, it's limited to 3 minutes. So the Pickens County Library shall allow 3 minutes per speaker for the public comment. A maximum of 30 minutes shall be allowed for speakers at each meeting unless it's extended by the majority of the vote of the board. So public comment is limited to matters relevant to the business. Issues relevant to the library business are defined by means to mean information about library events, issues that the library has the authority to address, items listed on the agenda, and items or issues previously voted on by the library board or that the library board has the authority to consider to vote on in the future. So the board of chairmen may interrupt or stop the speaker if the public comment is irrelevant to the library business, unreasonably repetitious, or substantially disruptive. So no speaker may employ language that is obscene, that is scurrilous, or reckless, or defamatory in comments that describe board members or any other participants at the meeting or library staff, including their opinions, proposals, and duly constituted actions. No conduct shall be tolerated or allowed that unreasonably provokes or disturbs another or interferes with the conduct of a peaceful meeting. Board members may, but will generally not, respond to comments from speakers. So we'll get started, and our first speaker is Rachel Cox.
Good evening. Thank you for your service to the library and welcome to our new board members. I would like to think we are all here tonight because we recognize and appreciate the importance and value of our treasured public library system. As we all know, public libraries serve a different function than home libraries, school libraries, church libraries, and bookstores. Public libraries welcome and serve all members of our community, whatever their background, beliefs, age, or financial situation. I would like to warmly thank the librarians for the many wonderful experiences my family has enjoyed at the library and the hundreds of wonderful books we have checked out. We have attended story times, author talks, trivia competitions, critter keeper demonstrations, all superbly organized and interesting. We have voted at the library, designed bookmarks, gotten hearing tested, and my teens participated in the Book in a Box program. My family couldn't be more pleased with or grateful to the library, and I would like to thank the board for continuing to support the library's incredible work. I have wondered what motivated each of you to apply to the library board. I certainly hope your motivation is not to limit access to books based on your own personal beliefs. Please trust individuals and families to make their own decisions about what to read. Last week's special called meeting had a discussion of a policy committee. I remind you of the guidelines in the reference manual for South Carolina Public Library trustees. Policies must be clear, not ambiguous or vague. Policies must be applied without discrimination. Please remember that there are 0 cases of libraries or government entities having to pay fines for keeping library books on the shelves. There are dozens of cases of libraries or government entities facing increased legal costs or having to pay fines for removing or restricting access to books. When a governmental entity is sued in such a case and loses on constitutional grounds, they are also responsible for the plaintiff's legal fees. Note the decision in Crawford County, Arkansas, and please be careful stewards of our taxpayer funds. In this year of our country's semi-quincentennial, when we celebrate freedom, independence, liberty, all of our country's founding ideals, please continue to support the freedom to read, a cherished freedom in this country. In the words of acclaimed author Doris Lessing, who received the Nobel Prize for Literature in 2007, with a library you are free, not confined by temporary political climates. It is the most democratic of institutions because no one, but no one at all, can tell you what to read and when and how. Thank you for supporting our library.
Lou Kay.
Hi, I'm Lou Kay. I'm the president and founder of Students Against Book Banning, a group of high school students dedicated to standing up for free speech in libraries. On behalf of my organization, I would like to welcome new members Mark Kilburn and Brian Aiken. We wish you luck, and we hope that you will continue your predecessors' legacy of fighting for intellectual freedom and defending free speech. On behalf of myself, I want to say something slightly different. I try my best to be an honest person. I've been coming to these meetings for a good while now, and in the name of honesty, I have to tell you that part of me is kind of tired of it. Don't get me wrong. I care as much as the next person about the budget submission process, but sometimes I wonder if I could be done with my homework and reading a good book. But how would I get that book without the library? So I'm here. Not to say that I don't enjoy aspects of these meetings, especially the quarterly statistics report. But as a history nerd, watching increased censorship of literature in this area sets off some "we're repeating history" alarm bells. This didn't end well for Germany. I've watched some members of this board choose to violate their own policy and the Freedom of Information Act by caving into political coercion and banning books without even reviewing them. Fortunately, that decision was ultimately reversed. One historical figure I always think of after these meetings is Thomas Jefferson. Specifically, his writing on religious tolerance has always inspired me. His advocacy for a wall of separation between church and state was a large part of his belief system. One of my favorite quotes is one from Notes on the State of Virginia, Query 17. But it does me no injury for my neighbor to say that there are 20 gods or no God. It neither picks my pocket nor breaks my leg. In the same way, I personally am not affected by any other person's choice to read or not to read Last Night at the Telegraph Club by Melinda Lowe. It may be one of my favorite books, but I can't force someone else to enjoy it, and I can't force someone else to dislike the same books I dislike. Similarly, you all are not affected by any other parent's choice about what their kids are allowed to read, and you should not be making decisions in the place of a parent or guardian about a child you don't even know. That's not how libraries are supposed to work. That's why I've been coming to these meetings for over a year. That's why I founded Students Against Book Banning. I call on every member of this board to join me and stand with free speech and with democracy. The First Amendment is vital to the well-being of our nation, all parts of it. Remember that as you begin or continue your journey as a board member. Perhaps the single thing which may be required to others before toleration to them will be an oath that they will allow toleration to others. Thomas Jefferson. Serving this community means serving all of this community. Thank you so much.
Debbie Hudson.
Good evening. I would like to give a very warm welcome to the newest board members, Mr. Kilburn and Mr. Aiken, as well as thank every one of you for continuing to volunteer your time to serve Pickens County. After attending many tumultuous meetings over the last 2 years, I am very excited for new beginnings in 2026. The calm, peaceful tone of last week's meeting while electing officers gives me hope that patrons of the library, especially the children, are going to be represented well with integrity and solid ethical standards. My family and many others think that the materials collection policy should be revisited so as to protect minors from stumbling upon obscene, age-inappropriate, graphic sexual content. In March of 2024, I followed the procedures to challenge a book that contains vivid descriptions of sexual activity, including rape and pedophilia. My request to move this book to the adult section was denied, so it remains in the young adult section, where it is easily accessible to ages 13 through 17. The vulgar content in this book, as well as in others that have been challenged but not moved, violates the requirements for the Pickens Library System to receive state funding. The lack of discernment in the proper collection and shelving of books just raises my concern about the type of books being taken by librarians to the innocent children in daycares. Perhaps for accountability purposes, some research should be done on this issue. Every freedom we have in America comes with responsibilities. Please make wise decisions in 2026 to restore trust in our library system. Thank you.
Bridget G.D. Greenberger.
Good evening, Chairman Parton and Pickens County Library Board members. I would like to first foremost welcome new Library Board members Mark Kilburn and Brian Aiken. Welcome aboard. Your commitment to serve our community in this important role is greatly appreciated. I am confident that you will serve with distinction, upholding the critical principles of fiscal responsibility, community-centered decision-making, protecting our innocent children in their special learning environment, and use professional conduct in all that you do. To current board members, I would like to thank you for your leadership and your courage, courage, and common sense in working through the number of important decisions for this important institution in Pickens County over the last couple of years. Considering all the difficulties that you have endured, it would have been easy for you to step down and let others suffer the consequences of too many unnecessary and unexpected hardships, but you didn't. And thank you for that. I thank you for that. You have been steadfast and committed to a clear-headed and rational pathway in spite of all the challenges involved.
It's not. Keep going.
It's okay. I thank you for supporting quality literature and great books for all, over the destructive agendas for a few, for letting common sense prevail over ideology, truth over narratives, long-term success over short-term gratification, and an unshakable commitment to preserving the dignity and integrity of a treasured public library that serves all of us in Pickens County. I can assure you that you have a broad-based support in the citizens and families, as well as our dedicated elected officials, to continue to strive for the best possible community asset that our library can be. Thank you for serving our great community.
John L. Raines.
First of all, I want to extend a warm welcome to our 2 new members on the board. I'm absolutely thrilled to have you, and I deeply appreciate you dedicating your time and expertise to our public library and community. I have full faith that each of you bring with you a set of skills that will make the library's mission of providing our community with access to appropriate collections come to fruition. I have been deeply concerned about age appropriateness in material for the past 3 years, and our South Carolina legislators, through passing a budget proviso 27.1, were also deeply concerned. Presently, there is legislation being introduced to protect minors even more from harmful material. Tonight, I wanted to make sure all of you understand that the South Carolina law in place to protect minors from obscene material does not mention that you must take into consideration the book as a whole. That is only if you are removing a book completely from circulation. Proviso 27.1 is not about removing or banning any book from circulation, but rather addressing age appropriateness in material and correct placement of those books. Any book located in the minor section of our library that contains current interest are not age appropriate and therefore are in violation. Current interest, according to South Carolina law, means it is reflective of an arousal of lewd and lascivious desires and thoughts. There are plenty of books right now in our teen section which produce arousal of lewd and lascivious desires and thoughts. We have minors right now that have easy access to those current interest books, and their parents have not given explicit parental consent. Present policies in place are not sufficiently protecting all minors. I pray this will be addressed by this board as soon as possible. Senator Rex Rice has assured me he will report your noncompliance in February if you sign that you are in compliance when you're not. There are some here tonight who agree with the American Library Association that minor children should have free access to any and all obscene material, regardless of parental permission. However, recent court cases show that judges believe that our freedom of speech does not include allowing minors access to obscene material. Laws are in place to protect minor children from viewing obscene material. I am sure this board will respect the law. Thank you.
Kate Byrd.
Members of the board, director, and members of the public. My name is Kate Byrd. I am a Pickens County resident, retired librarian, library patron, and taxpayer. Please include these remarks in the official public record. I speak tonight not as a resident, but as someone who has spent a career upholding professional standards, ethical responsibility, and public trust in libraries. This board has changed rapidly, and with that change comes responsibility, especially the responsibility to recognize that the Pickens County Library is a limited public forum under the First Amendment. A public library cannot restrict access to materials based on viewpoint or personal disagreement with content. Viewpoint discrimination by a public library is unconstitutional and carries legal risk for the county. The policy changes on tonight's agenda are deeply concerning. Most troubling is the removal of references to the First Amendment, along with the Library Bill of Rights and Freedom to Read statement. These documents exist to guide policy and protect patrons' constitutionally guaranteed freedoms. Their removal, combined with other proposed policy changes, represents a significant change from longstanding professional and legal standards. At last week's board meeting, a change to committee appointments was proposed and approved during the meeting. The publicly posted agenda listed 2 committees. One was replaced without prior public notice that the change would be acted upon by a Policy and Public Awareness Committee. South Carolina's Freedom of Information Act requires reasonable public notice of matters to be acted upon, particularly when decisions affect governance and policymaking authority. This board has previously reversed a decision involving library materials after similar notice concerns, raising concerns about recurring process issues. I would like to place on record my support for the board member who has consistently defended patrons' rights, and for the library director whose professionalism reflects the ethical standards libraries are meant to uphold. Any adverse action against those who follow policy and the Constitution discourages lawful and principled decision-making and increases liability. I respectfully suggest that this board consult legal counsel and honor the constitutional obligations associated with your office. Thank you.
Virginia King.
Thank you for the opportunity to address you this evening with my concerns, and I too would like to welcome our new board members. You have quite a challenge ahead of you, and I am confident you will do well. Congratulations to our new officers. I am praying you will serve boldly with wisdom and courage, and I look forward to all you will do to make our library great again. Several public speakers have said that we are trying to ban books. That is not accurate. We are trying to provide age-appropriate books in the children's section. We are not banning any books from the library. Teenagers are not allowed to enter an R-rated movie without a parent. They should not be allowed to enter sections of the library containing R-rated books and movies either. One possible solution is to have an adults-only section in the library where they can only enter with a parent. Having a library card where they can't check out adult-only books isn't good enough. They can wander the library and read anything in the library. The public library needs to be responsible enough to help the parents protect the children. And I will gladly volunteer to help in any way I can. Thank you.
Deborah Soule.
Hello, good evening. I want to say thank you, all those serving at the library board, those who continue to serve, and those who are new this year. Danny, congratulations as your win of chairman, and I know you'll do an excellent job. Alicia, congratulations for vice chair. Nancy, congratulations to you for the treasurer, secretary, and Mark for treasurer. And welcome, Mark, to the board. Mr. Brian, welcome. I look forward to hearing from you this year. I just want to really thank all of you for serving. Thank you for your enthusiasm. Last week was really, I just loved the humor, the joyfulness that was in the meeting. It was a big change, and I really loved that. I'm going to be praying for each and every one of you that serves on this board, that you will do so with integrity and common sense, along with wisdom from God Almighty. We have the ability to make our library trusted again. We can provide so much for our growing community, but we cannot provide filthy books full of sexual perversion and allow children to be exposed to an ever-growing group of authors who do not have their best interest at heart. Freedoms are not a free-for-all. Freedoms come with responsibility, responsible leadership, and I trust that you will lead with integrity. Thank you.
Denise Davis.
Good evening, everyone, and to the new board members. In just reviewing the agenda tonight, it appears as if some people have been very, very busy with policies and procedures. And I will just take a moment to say that I think that those are going to be much needed changes that so many here have been asking for as far as bringing this library into compliance. And I would like to thank you for all of your hard work. And we're glad to see you here and know that you will work very hard in achieving your goals. Thank you very much.
Reba Cruz.
My name is Reba Cruz, and I am a Pickens County resident, a library patron, and the parent of 2 teenagers. I'm speaking tonight to address substantive defects in the proposed collection development policy. This draft makes material changes that alter how access decisions are made, and it does so by removing long-standing professional safeguards. First, the policy redefines the term young adult as ages 18 to 25 and recommends relocating those materials in the adult section while simultaneously narrowing what may be included in the teen collection. This departs from established publishing, educational, and library practice, where young adult materials are written for readers roughly ages 12 to 18 and serve as a recognized transitional collection. This change eliminates the developmental category and restricts access by design. As a parent, I want to emphasize that teens are neither children nor adults. Removing this middle space replaces parental choice with a blanket restriction applied to all families. Second, the policy embeds vague and legally loaded content standards directly into the selection policy. Terms such as graphic, pervasive, vulgarity, and prurient interest are not professional library selection criteria. They are subjective terms drawn from legal contexts that require judicial analysis. Placing these standards into a collection policy invites inconsistent enforcement and shifts staff decision-making from professional judgment to controversy avoidance. That shift exposes staff to pressure, uneven application, and accusations of bias regardless of intent. I want to note for the record that the draft removes every reference to diversity from the existing policy. Diversity in a collection development context is a neutral professional standard used to ensure breadth of subject matter and viewpoint, and its removal increases the risk of disparate impact in both selection and challenge outcomes. Third, the draft removes explicit principles that protect the library from ideological misuse. The existing policy states that the presence of an item in the collection does not represent endorsement or promotion by the library, and the library subscribes to the Library Bill of Rights and the Freedom to Read statement. That language is being removed. This deletion is significant. Non-endorsement language and alignment with recognized professional standards exist to prevent materials from being treated as advocacy or indoctrination. Removing these standards strips away a key safeguard that protects both the institution and its staff. It also weakens the library's ability to demonstrate neutrality when challenged. Policy revisions must be evaluated not only by what they add, but what they intentionally remove. The combined effect here is a clear shift away from professional neutrality toward preemptive restriction. This statement is made for the public record.
Okay. One more. We have a little extra time. We've not taken the 30 minutes, and so Brittany Fowler, if you will.
Thank you so much. My name is Brittany, and I serve as the Advocacy Chair for the Friends of the Library, so thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight. I'd like to begin by, along with everyone else, extending a warm welcome to the new board members. I'm grateful for anyone who is willing to serve their community in this way, and I'm hopeful you'll find your time on the board meaningful and impactful. I'm speaking tonight as an advocate for our library system and the people it serves across Pickens County. I want to encourage this board to consider how it can best support the library's mission, not just through policy, but through partnership. We are fortunate to have a team of trained professional librarians and staff who are deeply committed to their work. They know how to manage collections, create engaging programs, and serve a diverse public with care and professionalism. These are not easy jobs, especially right now, but they do them with grace and integrity every day. In recent months, much of this board's time has been spent discussing restrictions, policies, and controversies. While I understand the importance of clear governance, I wonder that too much focus in the direction risks losing momentum on the things that truly move the library forward: program development, outreach, and funding advocacy. As many of you know, the library lost its dedicated millage not long ago, and now the library is at the mercy of the general fund. This is a big deal. Our library needs champions, board members who are willing to collaborate with county council, advocate for improved funding, and help ensure that our branches can continue to meet the growing needs of our community. There's a real opportunity here for this board to be strong and visible ally, not just in oversight, but in elevating what the library can do. They can only provide the community that which they can afford, so advocating for the library's budget should be your #1 priority, not squabbling over where things are placed on a shelf. So tonight, I'm simply encouraging you to trust the professionals you've hired, stay focused on the broader mission, and use your voice and position to support the library's future. The public is watching, and we are eager to see a board that leads to improving our libraries, not tearing them down. Thank you.
Okay, now we'll move to item number 4, approval of minutes. And so I make a motion to accept the minutes of the 3 library board meetings. And do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, discussion.
Second. Second.
Yeah, Mark gave a second.
I did.
You move, you said.
Yeah. And so, any discussion, corrections? Everybody's good? Okay. So they're approved. Thank you for that. And so then, number 5, library director's report.
Okay. So as far as the director's report, to update you on HVAC replacement at the main library, the mechanical part is finished except for addressing minor issues and troubleshooting and installing new control panels. As far as the main area of the library, the renovation of spaces, they're still working on the HVAC and at this library, and that's going well. The architects are also now getting pricing from consultants, and hopefully it won't be too long before we can start construction on finishing those spaces. The United Way Free File at all the libraries begins Tuesday, January 20th, and will take place at all of the library locations. If you have made an annual salary of $69,000 or below, you can call 211 to set up an appointment, and they will help you with your taxes for free. We'd like to welcome a new branch manager at the Village Branch in Pickens, Jessica White. Jessica's worked as a children's librarian for 12 years, and prior to that worked as a middle school and high school teacher. And I'd also like to mention the Seed Library and some other upcoming program. The Seed Library will be restocked and will reopen on Monday, February 2nd. You can visit the Sarlin Library in Liberty every week in February to get 10 packs of free seeds per person with your library card. You can choose from different kinds of seeds, vegetable, flower, and herb seeds, including heirloom varieties. For more information and guidelines for the Seed Library, you can visit our website. And there will also be pop-up seed libraries at our other library locations, February 9th at Easley from 2 to 3, February 11th at Pickens from 2 to 3, and February 23rd at Central Clemson from 2 to 3. We also have some great February programming coming up, and our newsletter will be out and available next week.
Okay. Number 6, Friends of the Library?
He still has the financial report.
Finance.
Okay, cool. Okay.
Financial report.
5B, okay.
Financial report.
I got it, yeah.
So, in terms of the financial report, everything looks good. We do have a question into county. One of the accounts, 4810, which is our computer equipment, has, it's negative 42.6%. So that means we have more money in that account than we previously budgeted for that account. So we're trying to figure out where that money came from. Was it carried over from last year for some reason? But it's not an overage. It's that we actually have more money in that account. So we have an Aska County to see if that's just a glitch or it was money was supposed to go somewhere else. But we are researching that at the moment. But everything else looks good. We're right on at the midway point. So you'll see a lot of 49, 50%. If it's something that didn't have to be paid up front already or something we're waiting on to be paid at the end of the fiscal year. So we're doing good.
The overtime, your 75% of your budget, is that because we have some staff positions still vacant?
So we use that, the term overtime doesn't really mean overtime in the way that you understand it. It
Right.
means hours that are worked over 20 hours
Yeah.
for when they're filling in when we have vacancies.
Right.
So the more vacancies we have, the more we have to use that. Right now, how many vacancies do we have right now? Two.
Yeah,
So we're
two
doing
vacancies.
okay. Yeah, we spend a lot out of that when we have a lot of vacancies at the same time, but we've been filling those as quickly. So right now, if we do run into a problem there, we would just take some money out of part-time salaries, which is kind of coming from, we don't have those people, so we're
Yeah, so
having
you
to
can
use
move it.
overtime, so we would just move that over.
Yeah, that makes sense. Thank you.
I have a question for you.
Okay.
On the, what period of time does this report cover? Is it last month? Is it the month of December, or is it like month to date today, or?
It's not monthly, it's,
To date.
yeah, to date.
So it's.
You get a report
so-
every board meeting.
Right, so the numbers on here were like through January 15th?
Looks like the 12th.
Yeah, it's on it's
tiny.
always on the 12th. When
It's
I
through
ran the-
January 12th?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, and that's
Okay.
always on there when I run the report.
Got it, okay. Okay. I had another question too, which was, let's see, the encumbrances that you have, is that money that hasn't gone out yet? Money you've committed to spend but hasn't actually been paid yet?
Correct, that's what we've
It's like a payable.
requisitioned, but the check hasn't gone out yet.
Got it, okay, cool. Are books the same as printed materials? Or the line for books, is that
The
like?
line for books, and I put in a correction this year to change that, it's really circulating materials. Books is a really kind of old school term, but it's circulating material. So when you think we have library of things, we have hotspots, we have DVDs, all of that comes out of books. So it really, you should think of it as circulating materials.
So anything that gets taken out in circulation?
Correct.
Not just books?
Right, and
Okay.
we have the books, that books item, but also on this report, direct assistance is our state aid, which also for the most part is circulating items, except for this year when we're gonna try to buy some vans.
Right, okay, cool. Sorry to have so many questions.
That's
but,
okay.
The other one had is the department support section here. Is that like grants or something, or? What
Are you
is
talking about? in
GE 5?
Yeah, those are grants.
Grants? And that section of the spreadsheet where you've taken the municipal report and put it in the spreadsheet, it doesn't have like subtotals on it for that section, so it's not a big deal, but I just thought I would point it out, because I was trying to tie back through the numbers, and it's missing like a subtotal. It's added in your bottom total.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
But it's not like got its own little
Yeah.
grouping like the rest of them, so. That just confused me for about, a little bit. And then the other question I had is on your software and equipment contracts. Those are almost used all the way up. So
Yes.
is that like prepaid stuff? It's not like monthly?
That's just in terms of when it comes out. So we used to do it, and that's sort of county. We used to do it at the end of the year. Now they wanted to get that all out of the way at the beginning of the year. So we use that software for the whole year. So that
But you
always
expense
just
it all-
comes
it's
out
all
at the front.
paid
Yeah.
up in the front end?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Okay, C, foundation report.
Just the oh, sorry. I'm getting ahead of myself. I know. We're all out of whack.
Feel better now, Steve.
The foundation looks good. We took in a significant amount of money. We're almost at $80,000. Everything looks good there. We sold a couple of leaves, I know, and then we had a sale on T-shirts, and that's still going on. So the library T-shirts for the foundation of what we have left are $10 each. So they are trying to get rid of those so that they can design a new shirt and get that out there. Now. It's just
Ready for D? Okay, go right ahead.
All right, so this is the quarter two statistics for this fiscal year, so that is October through December. Visitors were up a little over 11% for this quarter. You'll see that new borrowers are down, and then some, I'm just going to say this because there's the same reason. Computer and wireless users are also down, and that's because the last quarter of last year, we had FEMA and early voting coming through here, so we had an increase of people using our resources.
We also made a big push to get people, while they had their driver's license out, to go in and get their library card.
Yeah.
So that's why it's down, because we had 15,000 people in here voting, and we were like, come get your library card, and we had great numbers for this quarter last year.
Yeah, we checked it against FY '24, and the numbers for FY '26 are, for new borrowers, is on par with FY '24, when we did not have all of those things happening. The regular material circulation, we're still feeling the effects of the delay in funding and getting books coming in. But our e-materials is way up on everything. 47% increase in 47% increase in e-magazines, almost 27% in e-audio, 6% in e-books, and those are just trending numbers that are trending up all the time. Our programming is doing well. We're up across the board. Teen programming is continuing to explode. Attendance for programs is up 116% for teenagers. We're up 8% or more, I think, in all the other age ranges. Our outreach is down a little bit in some areas, and that's again because we went to events that were specific to Helene that did not happen again this year, and then we had some other events that did not happen this year, like Treats on the Street for Clemson got rained out this year, so that didn't happen. That was a big number that that came out of there, so that's why you see some decreases in those areas.
Could you comment a little bit more about this massive increase in, well, I mean, the number of teen events, but the massive increase in teen attendance?
Our teen programmer is doing a really, really good job, and teens want to come to her programs.
And
Yeah.
she's making it work with the space that we have, which we've sort of
Right.
carved out of this room.
Yeah.
Where we took a couple of shelves out, but hopefully with the renovation, they will get a real space and can do some
So
really.
is she out recruiting, or?
Well,
Word of
if you-
mouth.
If you do really good
Yeah.
programming, it's really organic with
Okay.
teens.
Yeah.
Like if
Word of
somebody,
mouth.
yeah,
Yeah, okay.
somebody
Yeah.
says this is really cool, come to the library, and then they come, and then more and
And then,
more.
yep.
Yeah,
Wow,
Wow,
that's amazing.
from 300 to 3,700.
What is the difference between the ebooks and the e-auto?
Ebooks are like written, and then e-audio are audiobooks. So it's the difference between like a print book and a
Book
CD
you
book.
listen to.
Okay, so electronic book, ebook is an electronic book of
Like a
of a
Kindle.
normal book, and then an audio is just you listen to it. Okay.
Yeah.
okay. Number 6, Friends of the Library report.
Thank you. Mr. Parton, I gave everybody a copy of the financials, the Friends of the Library. My name's Robert Sams. I'm the current treasurer. Just wanted to give you all the annual report on what we're doing, and I'll read the line from our president. Friends of the Library County System is a volunteer organization that's really a booster club for our libraries and librarians. We currently have 150 active members. We're sustained through memberships, donations, and fundraising activities. In 2025, volunteers participated in 2 Belk Charity Day events. We held a very successful Book Lovers Quilt Raffle and had a 20 for 20 year fundraiser to honor this branch's 20th anniversary. Our long-standing monthly used book sales continued in 2025 in a new spot, the old children's programming room adjacent to the children's wing. This dedicated space allows us to have sales more often and more easily, and our patrons now have bathroom access, unlike our old location down at the bottom. Our books are a combination of library discards and also books donated to the library by patrons. Our sales are open to the public, and we keep our prices low to put more books in more hands. In 2025, the Friends help fund general library and children's programs, provide prize money for poetry and bookmark contests, and purchased adventure passes for destinations like the Children's Museum, Upstate History Museum, Western North Carolina Nature Museum, and we invite all the board members to attend our annual meeting in April. So I'll be glad to answer any questions if you have any.
Any questions? Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Sir. Okay, we're moving on to number 7, and that's our business, the old business. A, young adults versus teen discussion.
I would like to bring a motion forward to use the name teen for the 13 to 17 age range. I think it's, wait for discussion for a second. Do I have a second?
Well, you're fine. You're bringing a motion. Okay, yeah, let's do that. And do I have a second?
Would you repeat the motion?
Motion to use teen as the name for the 13 to 17 age
Okay.
range.
So it's renaming it is the motion.
Yeah,
Rename
what,
it.
can you, be specific, like rename the section, the area, the collection?
All of it. From 13, the age range of 13 to 17 to teen.
Okay. Renaming the teen space and the teen, renaming the YA space teen and the collection from YA to teen. Okay.
Anything related between 13 and 17 to teen.
Is there any confusion
There's not a
among
second.
patrons as to what young adult?
You need a second.
I brought
Yeah.
a motion.
I'm sorry?
I brought a motion, so I'm waiting for a second.
Oh, you're waiting for a second. Okay.
Okay.
I'll second that.
Okay, now discussion. Go ahead, Hal.
Okay, sorry. Yeah. Is there any confusion among patrons as the meaning of young adult?
Not that we've seen.
Not that we've
Based
seen.
on the
I mean, we did
survey?
the survey.
Yeah.
I think where it could be confusing, there's still a lot of state items where they still say YA. So we can't do anything about that. We can do our collection here, but as far as the state library, they have tons of YA where teen is used still. So, but we can change everything locally.
What do you mean, materials from the state? that are still
Like the
labeled? I
state
don't
survey that we
understand.
do, all of the language surrounding teens says young adult.
And a lot of their other language is still young adult.
Yeah.
14, because it's been understood for so long in the history of library that teen is YA. So if you see something like that, it may come from somewhere else, but we'll change what we can locally to match that language if that's what you want to do.
Because the teen library, or the state library actually recommends that young adult is too ambiguous. And every time I look up, every time I look up the age for young adult, it always comes 18 and up. It never says 13 to 17, not one time. And I've asked so many people, like at my homeschooling stuff that have teenage programs, and I've asked in my community, because I have a lot of teenagers living around us, and they all say, when I ask them the question, young adult, what age do you think of? They always say 18 and up.
Right.
Every time.
In
So-
terms of literature, young adult literature is teen, 18 to 25 is new adult literature. And the people that use the library tend to understand that. If you're asking people out in the community that don't use the library, they may not understand that. But that's why those terms are sort of universal in the library world.
Well, except
Publishers use them as well.
then, and we've had this discussion before, but the programs and the events that you have on the website all say teen.
Right, because
So
it's
to a
understood to be
parent
interchangeable. 'cause
That
it-
is trying to involve their parent, or a parent who is trying to involve their teen in a program, say in the library, I think they would be confused, and we want to, we want to create new business in this library also, not just keep what we have, right? So, I mean, yes, that's what the common term is for the people who use the library, but for the people who in the community who maybe want to use the library but are confused about that, I think it's more clarifying overall for when you have teen events, teen programs, teen, and then you have YA area. Like, I think that to
YA
me, in my opinion, is
collection.
just confusing.
It's YA literature is for teens.
Yeah.
But that's fine. We can do.
I mean, they're interchangeable, so.
Yeah, that's how we use it interchangeably. But you're saying you only
Well,
want to use teen.
I was wanting to say a few things,
Yeah,
because
go ahead.
for the past 19 years and currently, I'm in the most public of all public institutions in the county. I teach in the school district of Pickens County, 9th through 12th graders. And without a doubt, when you think about it, they are teens, 9th through 12th graders, and I teach them, and we got them all varying maturity levels, but we're just talking about strictly age level. At age 13 through 17 or 18, once they graduate high school, a child we can't give them an aspirin without parental permission. We can't load them on a school bus and haul them somewhere without parental permission, even if it's the bus they rode to school on. They cannot enter into a contract. They cannot do any of these things because they are deemed by society as a child. They're a teenager. They're not an adult. So the two, yes, some of them might act like an adult sometimes, but the two, this is all about definitions. Definitions and applications is what all the arguments are with this whole board, is at what point are they deemed as an adult? And that age is 18, legally. They can vote, they can enter a contract, they can get married without parental permission, they can do all the rest of those. So if we're looking at a teen section, I can merely look from the most, not from my own personal opinion, but from a school district standpoint, the most public of all public institutions in the county, that teen has to be just that. It is, quite honestly, though some people might use the terminology interchangeably, by definition, they're not an adult until age 18. So clarification on that, I think, would do away with a lot of the issues and the heartaches that this community is going through from one end to the other, simply defining that and putting that one to bed. That's my take.
I'm actually agnostic about what you call it. I'm more concerned about what's in it. actually, and maintaining the young adult literature in that section, whether you call it teen or whether you call it young adult. So the name is not as important as the content of the collections.
Can I address content for a moment? I've learned a lot just in a short amount of time trying to get in on the library board and all the rest of these things. The terminology of prurient, that's a definition that I had to learn and everybody is wrestling with. The definition is pretty easy to understand, but the application isn't necessarily easy to understand. How do you apply that terminology of prurient? Is prurient qualitative or is it quantitative? Is it the depth of the description behind it, or is it the quantity of that prurient content that would tip the scale one way or the other? I hear a terminology that's brought up repeatedly. It's in some of the documents that we have already, that when taken on the whole, overall, those terminologies when it's taken overall. So let me just give just a couple of minutes to try to think. I'm trying to put together, how do we deal with this? Is it qualitative or quantitative, the amount or the substance? Because in practical application, and I'm not accusing the library board of doing such a thing, but if you roll back the clock, I'm going to display some personal things. One time and one time only in my life have I held a Playboy magazine in my hand. Ronald Reagan was in his first term. I was in junior high. I can assure you that there were things in there utterly inappropriate to be looked at. But if we take prurient to mean quantitative, the quantity of what's there, if you add up all the images, was 51% of the images in that magazine prurient? No. Was 51% of all the words in that magazine prurient? No. It would not meet the standard of if we're looking at overall content. Yet I would say that there's probably not a parent in this county, regardless of which political party or any affiliation a person has, that wouldn't flip out if their 13-year-old came home with a Playboy magazine in their book bag. So we need to determine, is prurient, is it quantitative or qualitative? So long as we follow ourselves in as a board or as a community into these little arguments over playing a continual whack-a-mole over this book, that book, or the other book, we're not addressing overall issues. I don't think there's a big move to try to ban books. From what I see, it's simply how do we categorize stuff for adult content, young adult content, or teen content. I'm just speaking from the heart, and I'm all ears to learn.
Well, I would like to, may I?
Go ahead, yes.
I think the question is that we're talking about, I mean, that's all, I understand what you're saying, but we're just talking about renaming the adult or the young adult to the teen nomenclature, I guess, because even in all these statistics that you just walked us all through, they're children's teen events or adults events. Mm-hmm. So we're just trying to determine, do we get rid of the terminology young adult, not regarding the collection, but do we get rid of the terminology and just convert it over to teen? That's really what we're trying to determine right now, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. So.
And just in terms of implementation of that, we do have to change a record of each book and the spine label of each book from YA to teen. And we have over 13,000 in that collection.
What does that mean?
That means if you want to change the collection, like right now it says young adult literature, YA is what it's considered on the spine and in the record of the book. Like every book has an electronic record attached to it, so we can see where it is, who had it. So we have to change the record, change the spine label to say teen. Right now in our catalog it says YA, but it's in the teen collection, so it says both. when you look it up in our catalog online. YA, blah, 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 and then it'll say collection teen. So people know that that's interchangeable. If you want to get rid of YA completely, that is something that we will have to do in terms of implementation.
Okay,
That will
other-
take a while.
Any more
Can I say one more
discussion?
thing? With the teen and the YA being interchangeable, if, say, our policy that we have out here is passed, what if how would that affect if you have young adult as a subcategory in the adult section? How would the interchangeable of the YA and the teen, how would that affect that?
I think people would be very confused if we had a teen and a young adult collection, because everybody that uses a library or reads teen/young adult materials understands them to be interchangeable, so I think that they would be like, what's the difference, because I know them to be the same thing.
But other
I think I know what
libraries have done that.
you're
Because
saying.
young
Instead of
adult
putting
definition-
teen there, well, no, that wouldn't.
Well, because young adult definition is 18 to 26. So if you have a subcategory in the adult section, then the books that are, 13 and up, and they're supposed to be in the adult section according to our policy if it ever passes, then it would go into the young adult subcategory instead of the adult section, so it would keep a separation. But if the teen and the young adult are interchangeable, then that would be the confusion part, right? So if we make it teen 13 to 17, young adult 18 to 25, wouldn't that clarify that?
This is going to have to work in conjunction with whatever policy that you pass, because I can't, it's going to have to be taken as a whole depending on what you do with the policy. Because I can't right now figure out an implementation process until I know what the policy is to say if we could do that or not.
That's fair, that's fair.
All right. Ready to vote?
We have to rename the motion again,
Go ahead.
because it's been a while. Motion to use teen as 13 to 17 age range. Right,
Okay.
that's what I said.
Say it one more time.
Motion to change, or to use teen as the 13 to 17 age range.
Once this is passed, just so I know, what is your understanding of how we would need to implement this if this passes? What are you expecting immediately to happen? Since we're not
Teen
voting
to
on the
be 13 to
policy yet.
17.
Right. But no changing of the records and the spine labels yet?
Well, I would say that might, if our policy changes,
Right,
then you
but
could
we're
do
doing
all
a
that
vote
at
right
once.
now, not knowing. So is your expectation that we don't move on this until the policy is done?
Yeah.
Okay, that's all I need to know.
Yeah.
Because we're not going to do anything yet, so I don't want you to come back and say, well, why haven't you done anything? It's because there's really nothing to do until,
That's the
This
mechanics
is-
of it, and so
Yeah.
that will be up, and we will work,
okay.
should this go through, whatever, we'll do whatever we can, but
So,
should it go
so,
through.
why wouldn't we just table it until we complete the policy discussion?
Because this is a format, oh, sorry, you're talking.
No, well, you can, but we're on it, we can go ahead and act upon it.
Yeah,
I
it's
think
fine with me,
one of-
I just.
One of the things of and you're more than welcome, but if you move forward with this and we come down to the collection policy, they kind of go hand in hand.
Yeah, all right, well.
So that's kind of but.
So basically, right now, we're just voting on whether to rename it the teen section.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
All right, so, all in favor of this, motion to use, the teen section, the age is 13 to 17, all in favor, raise your hand. Any opposed, like sign? Did you vote? I mean, I didn't know if you was just, okay, gotcha, okay. All right, that passed, 5-1. Okay, next is, South Carolina director, our library director, to come and do a workshop and this is more, I guess, less informational. I will contact Ms. Lisa Aiken for a date and time that will correspond as I hear a time she can and when we can get together. And the reason we're asking for this, we went through the workshop, and it was as a board member, and I've been on the board probably a couple of years when she came and did that, and that was one of the best trainings I had received, so it's really good. So we'll let you guys know that, okay? That's for any discussion as far as questions on that. Okay. All right. So C, budget breakdown sent to the county council and discussion on that.
Is there a meeting scheduled? Is there anything with the council about that? Because, you know, when we talked and passed the budget originally, it was that we were gonna come back and actually be able to have more questions and be part of the budget committee. Are we gonna have that?
We're meeting with them on the 29th.
Jan-
And I can send that out, yep.
Okay.
January, I believe it's 2:45 to 3:45.
I mean,
don't have
I
my.
had a lot of reservations about about voting on them.
Right.
Because I had questions. And so I was just, I mean, there's gonna be an update of it. I mean, that meeting's scheduled already with Ralph and,
Yep.
okay. And who is allowed to go to that meeting?
I believe
The budget.
3 can go, so you have Mark.
Yeah.
I believe that can happen without us having to make it an official meeting.
Okay.
'Cause it's
I
not a
would like
quorum.
to, I would like to,
Oh, go ahead. I'm
sorry, I would like to have if possible, a meeting, budget committee meeting with Hap and Elisa and you, if that's possible, prior to that.
Okay.
So we can kind of go through this. I saw you, thank you for sending me all that information. I appreciate it. And I saw where, you know, he's talking about it being a zero-based budget this year and that we have to come, you know, armed with, you know, loaded for bear, I would say. So I don't know who these guys are, so I'm hoping that I can get some information so that when
That's
we
a
go
good
there,
idea.
we can, we know what's in these line items and be able to back it up. So I'll send an email out tomorrow.
Okay.
And then if you could just, something that's convenient for your calendar,
Okay.
that would be awesome before,
That works.
so before we get there, we don't get,
I think that's a good idea because you weren't, because they moved the schedule up, you weren't party to. the
yeah, I've
process.
just been going through things and I have a bunch of questions, so.
Yeah, they've pushed that schedule way forward.
Okay. You'll see D is a scheduled executive session, personnel matter, Thursday, February the 12th. And so, on February the 12th, if you look back here, you'll kind of see we're looking ahead a little bit on the agenda, but there will be a special call meeting for that day as well. And so we're looking at special call meeting, executive meeting following after at 7 o'clock from the 6 o'clock called special meeting. So with that said, do I have a motion?
A motion to have an executive session on the February 12th
Yes.
for a personnel matter?
Yes, yes.
I guess I just stated it, didn't I?
Well,
I speak
was that a
for.
question
a
or-
mo- Sorry, it
Okay.
was.
Yeah.
A motion, I put forward
Yeah.
a motion to call an executive session meeting on February 12th for a personal matter.
Okay, second?
I'll second.
Okay, discussion. Hearing none, all in favor, just raise your hand. Okay. Okay, unanimous. Okay. Next business, new business. To amend moment of silence with a prayer. So I want to make a motion to that. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, discussion. And I want to speak to this. You know, it's been, what, maybe a year or two, and we talked about it, and so, I know we went with a silent prayer. I know that many government institutions still have verbal prayer. And so I would like to see that as a part of an opening up instead of a silent prayer, okay? Any discussion?
Well, I'm a big fan of the separation of church and state and the establishment clause of the First Amendment, but I also recognize that it is a common practice in public bodies to have prayer. I think we need to have a clear understanding that no one needs to participate if they choose not to.
Yeah.
And I think it sort of following what the Congress does, which is, and they have prayer, and they have a chaplain, United States Congress, and but they always restrict to a non-sectarian. So in other words, we don't give a Christian prayer. We don't invoke the name of Jesus Christ or something like that. We maintain a non-sectarian environment. I think that's good advice, and that's why they do it. But as far as prayer, that is pretty common practice.
Yeah, for a little clarity, I should have mentioned this. It will be strictly voluntary by our board members, and if you don't want to pray, you don't. And those that do can, and it's set up on a rotation for that. So that's kind of what that'll look like.
So that was my
Other
next
discussion?
question. Was it going to be on a rotating basis?
Yeah.
Noted in advance so that person
Yeah,
could
they'll
choose
be ready, yeah.
to have a moment of silence,
Yeah,
pray to anybody they want to, or choose not to?
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
But I think, just to emphasize it, really, we should try to maintain a non-sectarian prayer. I mean, I know that's not what you're saying,
Yeah.
but I think that would be advisable. I mean, obviously, you're going to invoke a higher power of some kind, but, and try to enhance the solemnity of the situation. That's what the prayer is supposed to do, is to bring your attention to the solemnity. And I don't think you have to invoke a particular a theology in order to do that, so
But I think if you want to, and if you feel like you want to, it's your freedom to be able to do that.
yeah, well, I hear what you're saying. I don't agree with that, but I hear what you're saying, yeah.
Okay, if there's no other discussion, we're gonna bring it to a vote, okay? All in favor, just raise your hand for the verbal prayer. Okay, opposed? Okay, got 5-1. Okay,
And my vote reflects
yes,
not the prayer, but the sectarian side.
yes, sir.
I just want to
Yes,
make
sir.
that clear.
Thank you,
Yep.
Al. B, change to miscellaneous procedures, and what we're looking at is M1 and M2, and so M1 is the Bill of Rights, M2 is the freedom to read. Discussion.
What is the motion? What are we
It was just a
doing?
discussion.
Yeah,
Oh,
this-
okay.
Yeah, this policy,
just
it'll
a
have to
discussion.
come next month. We're just gonna discuss.
Oh, okay.
Hear some input and stuff, yeah. Yeah,
Sorry.
okay.
Are we good? Okay. Are we good? My problem with these two is the age appropriate and the minors. I just don't feel like minors are protected. It's not that I don't feel like everybody should have a right to read. That's not, I agree that everybody should, but I believe minors need to be protected. And I believe that if we protect the children and give more accountability to the parents, I believe that that will be more of a community effort and get families and everything more involved. So that is my problem with the freedom to read in the Library Bill of Rights, is there's no age-appropriate protecting minors in it at all. It's, everybody can have a free-for-all. It has nothing with parents involved. It's nothing age-appropriate. So that's what my problem is with that.
Just that it's lacking that.
It's lacking any parental, any minor, any protecting any minors, it does not even acknowledge parents' approval or parents being involved. It doesn't have any age appropriate. It just thinks that everybody should have a right to read anything they want to, and that is my problem with those.
Does the Bill of Rights say that?
Other discussion?
I think the freedom to read statement may make some sort of, may say that, but the Bill of Rights, I don't think says that.
That's like in the back of the policy.
And they're two separate things.
Neither one of them do.
Discussion?
Yeah, I would like to say that I kind of think that part of this goes along with the previous old business of adults and teen, or the young adult and teen. We're going to have to see how these Bill of Rights and the freedom to read are in the policies. So as we start reviewing the policies that are on here as well, we'll have to take that into consideration. The thing about the Library Bill of Rights and the freedom to read seems to me that they're not helpful in regards to what we're trying to determine is going back to the proviso, the budget proviso controversy that we're going to have to address at some point. These documents don't really help, and they kind of, more than don't help, they don't address the facts that, or the idea that there are minors and there are adults. The propositions that they put forth in the document, it's really hard to argue against it, because it all makes common sense and it seems like it's right to me. But the sections underneath, which are like the expansion of what that provision means, is not helpful in trying to answer the question of what we're trying to accomplish as far as dealing with minors, because it doesn't deal with, it doesn't make a distinction between an adult and a minor here. We just had, I mean, I'm no lawyer, but there was just a Supreme Court case, Free Speech Coalition, et cetera, which was about can states go ahead and require people to prove that they're 18 years old to get onto a porn site or not. And in that opinion, it says that, history, tradition, and precedent establish that sexual content that is obscene to minors but not adults is protected in part and unprotected in part. And states may prevent minors from accessing such content, but may not prevent adults from doing the same. So there's a distinction between adults and minors, but I don't really see that in here. And when we reference these documents or incorporate them into the policies that we have, it's gets muddled. So my point only is that we have to be clear when we go through these policies and where this shows up in our policies. Then we can make a determination at that point whether to scuttle them or not. I guess, I mean, not scuttle them, but incorporate them or not. So I think it kind of goes in conjunction with, or is similar to the young adult versus teen, and we'll have to roll it all into the whole policy. That's my point.
I think that the Library Bill of Rights and so on are meant to be general. They're meant to apply to all people. And, teenagers have rights equal to adults. And so I think that's It's intentional not to divide it up among various age groups. So, at any rate.
Yeah, I would disagree with
Yeah.
that, but
Yeah.
that's okay.
Okay.
I think, so these are framed,
The audience
Yeah.
chatter.
Yeah.
these are framed on the First Amendment. So I think when you are looking at policies that don't agree with this, you have to use caution, because the policy you're creating, if it does not correspond to this, you may be violating the First Amendment. And minors do have First Amendment rights.
They do.
So that's what I would
Some.
just caution.
Right.
Well, they
Some.
have freedom
in-
to access information.
Well, in this
Right.
regard, they do.
Right.
Yeah, in this regard,
Yep.
they have.
So I'm just saying, when you do find a policy that is going against this, you have to make sure that that policy is not a violation of the First Amendment.
Yeah, I understand that, yep.
One of the things I want to mention, I think we should be very, very cautious about any of our policies, rightly said and rightly stated. I'm absolutely opposed to unelected bureaucrats, of which I guess I am one now, telling parents what they should, taking parents' rights away for what their children should or should not be able to access. That's a decision for parents to be made. And then once the child is age 18, I think there should be a very, very high bar for removing anything from a library. But the categorization of where it sits and how this is implemented, because parents do have the ability to tell children what they can and cannot do, what they can and cannot see, and that is definitely placed upon parents, and we just need to make sure as a board we're not stopping a parent that wants to be able to allow their children to access something, and at the same time not put it out where anybody whose parents do not want them to access it is able to do the same thing.
I guess the answer to that, and maybe Stephanie can even more
Big
so,
policy stuff.
would be through the library cards. We have a library card that the parents can check what
Yes or
their
no?
children can see or not see. And so that's kind of where we're at now with that, is keeping the parents, okay, not taking their rights away, but they make the choice whether, their child can, see something that another parent would not let them look at or read. So it's kind of,
I would just add that we have very strong parental policies in place. A minor can't get a library card with us without a parent's permission.
Yes.
They can't be in the library without a parent or guardian if they're under the age of 13. So there's restrictions in place that really make the parents know what's going on.
Yes.
okay. I'm going to say this concerning the collection policy and library material, and I hear what you say. We're not trying to take anybody rights away, but we want to be able to make materials available in the age appropriate for parents. They know where the books are. We're not taking any books. Mom wants, Johnny, Susie to read whatever they want to in the library. That's them, and that's their family. That's their choice. But what I see as a win-win is that parents that do not want their children to stumble across some of the books that we've been dealing with in the children's section and some in the teen, if we can prevent that, but yet the ones that say, well, just leave it where it's at, don't be moving books. Well, I think they can get to the book with their child, that we're not taking that right away. And also, we're saying whole community, are we not? We're wanting to have some kind of a compromise, middle ground here, that the whole community can somewhat benefit from this. Plus, we're looking at the proviso that if we do not comply, you see on the budget what that amount is, about $260,000 a year. Sure don't want to lose that funding. So I think somewhere we've got to be able to get the library in compliance with proviso. And everybody's getting to their books, but it's going to be a little different in some ways of making sure we meet the compliance of the proviso. Does that make sense? I mean, I'm just, for the board,
Yeah, I think it makes sense, because, I mean, the proviso has to be dealt with, because
Yeah.
it's holding, it's
Yeah.
part of getting our funding, state funding, which we're thinking is like around 360.
Mhm.
So, I mean,
Yeah, it's gotta be
it
dealt
has to be addressed.
Yes, it does. Okay, any more discussion? We're gonna move on to D, if there's no more discussion on that, okay?
Were we on C?
We were on B.
We kind of melded together from the,
Okay.
I would like to say something about the collection policy
Oh,
and
okay.
library materials
Yeah, I kept
policy,
hearing
if
them
I
cross,
could.
and then next time I was hearing
Yeah, I just
collection
feel like we
policy,
used to
so-
smush it together.
Okay.
I did sort of collect my thoughts, and it's sort of what Brian has mentioned about how people interpret the different words. But I just wanted to say this and make it part of the record as y'all continue to work in the policy committee and as you make this decision at the February meeting. Before the board deliberates on these proposed policy changes, I want to speak from my role as library director and as the individual responsible for implementing the policies. Public libraries occupy a unique place in constitutional law. Courts consistently recognize that libraries exist to provide access to a broad range of information and viewpoints. Decisions affecting access are subject to heightened First Amendment scrutiny. Removal or restriction of materials based on content, viewpoint, or moral disagreement raises serious First Amendment concerns, especially when policies rely on vague standards like prurient interest, pervasive vulgarity, or community standards without reference to professional review criteria. In Mainstream Ludon versus Board of Trustees, a library policy was struck down for imposing content-based restrictions without sufficient safeguards or precision. In Board of Education versus PICO, the Supreme Court affirmed that while governing bodies have discretion, that discretion is limited when policies remove or restrict materials based on content or viewpoint. Federal courts, including Sun versus City of Wichita Falls, have reinforced that even procedural policies requiring relocation or removal can violate the First Amendment. The rationale offered for these policy changes is compliance with the state budget proviso and guidance from the state library agency director, but compliance alone does not shield the board from constitutional review. Courts hold local entities responsible for how they interpret and implement state requirements. If a policy goes beyond what the proviso explicitly requires or adopts restrictions not required by law, the board assumes liability. Courts do not accept "we were required to do this" as a defense when discretionary policy choices are evident. Even where a state law is involved, courts examine whether compliance could have been achieved through less restrictive means. Existing collection development standards, professional review processes, and established reconsideration procedures are routinely cited by courts as evidence that broad or categorical restrictions were unnecessary. It's my professional opinion that our current policies already meet the requirements of the proviso and state aid certification. Federal constitutional standards apply to libraries in South Carolina. Any policy that categorically excludes materials, relocates them based on subject matter, or restricts access without individualized review is subject to constitutional scrutiny regardless of intent. Parental rights are also at stake. Courts recognize parents' authority to guide their children's reading. Policies that restrict access system-wide rather than empowering parental choice undermine those rights. Vague categories and automatic restrictions place staff in legally vulnerable positions and increase the likelihood of uneven enforcement. These proposed revisions do not occur in isolation. Alongside major policy changes, the board's considering removing the Library Bill of Rights and Freedom to Read statement from the policy manual. These statements are recognized as authoritative expressions of professional standards. Courts often consider the totality of changes, not each individual revision in isolation. Removing the safeguards while adopting restrictive policies increase litigation risk and signals a shift away from established norms. If these policies are adopted, they will shape not only our collections, but the public record of how and why access decisions are made. In the event of a legal challenge, that record, including tonight's discussion and previous statements made at board meetings, will be reviewed to determine whether these changes are truly compelled by law or were discretionary policy decisions made by the board. Having said all that, I am not a lawyer. I've been assured by Mr. Parton and Ms. Pinkerton that the policies have been reviewed and are legally sound, but based on my research and professional experience, I remain concerned that these changes increase legal risk. I ask the board to consider these questions. What specific language in the state proviso requires each of these policy changes? Why were the existing policies and review process insufficient? How do these revisions avoid content or viewpoint-based restrictions in language and practice? How do these new policies preserve rather than replace parental decision-making? And how do these changes reduce rather than increase the library system's exposure to litigation? I urge the board to carefully consider not only the immediate implications, but the long-term legal and constitutional consequences. Once access is restricted and safeguards are removed, these decisions cannot be undone without harming the library. The integrity of our library and our commitment to intellectual freedom rests on the policies we adopt. I ask the board to ensure these changes do not compromise patrons' rights, parental authority, or the library's standing as a trusted public institution. We have the opportunity to uphold the library's tradition of fairness, access, and intellectual freedom. Let's not replace professional judgment, parental authority, and constitutional safeguards with vague restrictions that invite litigation and erode public trust.
Well, she kind of took the wind out of my sails because I was going to bring this up. May I make a few comments?
Yes, Hap, go ahead.
Okay. So my first question is, why are we doing this? It was just last year that we did a thorough review and revision of our policies, as you remember. Are we concerned about not having our certification for state aid funding accepted? Okay. But the certification was accepted for the first half of the funding under our current policies. Are we concerned about meeting the tenets of Proviso 27.1? Well, I think it's clear that our librarians do not acquire prurient material according to the legal definition. And if the public disagrees, we have a clear reconsideration process in place. And further, do you build a policy around a budget proviso which may not even be in place in 6 months because it is attached to the budget? So I have dozens of policy and editorial comments about and concerns about these documents that were put forward, as you might guess. And I can't air them all, obviously, at this point, but for example, why are we, and this came up earlier, why are we removing all the statements about the rights of patrons from the documents? For example, the First Amendment and the ALA's Bill of Rights. Maybe they should be obvious, maybe they don't have to be included, but once we have had them in our policies, removing them sends a very negative image of the board's attitude towards readers' rights. And, you know, as a note, the South Carolina Public Library Manual for Trustees recommends boards adopt the ALA Bill of Rights and freedom to read. And as another note, why are we not requiring petitioners and board members to read the books under reconsideration? And why do we need such a draconian shortening of the review process? I'm all for increasing efficiency. Don't get me wrong. And some of the things that were in there, I think, were actually positive. But it can be down to about 5 days now by the time the director gets these materials. Is it that the criteria in these policies suggest it is sufficient because of these changes to rule on a book based only on selected passages or age ranges, which, regardless of what we've heard tonight, I believe is a violation of the law, because the law requires that all legs of the Miller criteria be met. And, you know, and the idea of a book being considered as a whole, that's been removed in this new policy proposal from the collection development policy, so I have concerns there. And so you've been assured that attorneys, you've contacted an attorney. But as I look at this, the possibility of lawsuits based on content-based restrictions, for one, or minors' First Amendment rights are being violated, among others.
Okay, we've, over the past couple of years, we've been through this, basically, same thing. My discussion on it would be, and thoughts, why is the state of libraries, okay, the state of the libraries in this state, county libraries, under the guidelines of the state library, they're lining up, they're doing their collection policy according to so much like we are tonight, okay, and to line up with the proviso, and we're not seeing lawsuits. And they could come, and you can have a lawsuit at any time. But to use the lawsuit in order to scare off and move, your decision, because what we're doing, libraries are doing this in the state of South Carolina to meet the proviso. So I just wanted to say that. Other discussion?
Yeah,
No talking from the public, please. We're discussing.
According to Ms. Aiken, if I could say something, according to Ms. Aiken at the state library, she said all the other counties in South Carolina have already made moves towards this, except this one.
Towards what specifically? Towards the guidance? Because this policy goes beyond the guidance.
And that's not my understanding with the directors that I have talked with. Most of the ones that I know have not made, they have the understanding that we do not have prurient materials in this library. There's no reason to change our policy. That's my understanding from the directors that I know. I know that some libraries, I know Greenville, I think they're still being sued for the changes that they've made. But my understanding and Ms. Aikens is different.
Yes, I see that. But the Greenville library system is being sued because they entered in that LGBTQ, which we are not. We're not having anything to do with that.
If you're confident with these policies and voting on them, that's fine. I just would like to caution you as a professional librarian that there are things in here that are very problematic. I've been doing this for a long time, and I would say it to any board I've worked with. There are things in here that could get you sued.
So do you know lawsuits that are happening because of these kinds of changes we're talking about?
Yes.
Yes.
I'd like to.
Stephanie mentioned constitutional scrutiny. Libraries are a governmental entity, so when they are making content-based restrictions, we have to follow strict scrutiny, which is the highest level of scrutiny. So there has to be a compelling government interest, and the restrictions have to be narrowly tailored using the least restrictive means. So they're going to look at things like our library card application, which already gives parents the rights to restrict what the books they can check out, and they're going to ask why that wasn't sufficient. They're going to, the proviso talks about prurient interest, but the Constitution, when you're talking about the First Amendment, you can't separate the legs of the Miller test when you're looking to restrict things based on obscenity. You can't just say, this has some prurient material in it. You have to use the whole Miller test. But I would also like to say, just from an implementation standpoint, the language that is currently in this proposed revision is really vague. Some of the language that staff would not be able to implement it consistently, and they would have to guess at what you guys mean by it. Things like age appropriate, that means something different to every individual. That is highly individualized. Things like gratuitous sex to who? That's subjective. You can't expect us to be able to move materials based on subjective language, so that would need some work if you want us to implement this.
Well, they'll be having a policy meeting going over
Right,
what we
yes, I'm
discussed
just-
tonight. And so I'm going to end discussion so we can move on.
Can I just ask one question? Could you publish a list of the lawsuits? I would really like to see them and be able to look them up.
The current ones
The
or
ones that
all
you
of the
keep
ones that
referring
have
to.
been?
Some of the
Yes.
ones that you keep referring to over and over
Yes.
and over again.
I named 3, but we can find some more.
End of discussion, okay? End of discussion, okay. With that said, the collection policy, and the library materials, reconsideration,
So.
you don't have a date set concrete yet, right?
For what?
For this,
To do the
your
policy?
policy, yeah, to look it
Yeah,
over.
Thursday, a week from today.
Okay, a week from today, okay, so it's set, just wanted to let you
We're,
guys
as
know.
the policy
Mhm.
committee is meeting to discuss, yes.
So-
Right,
5 o'clock at
Thursday,
Liberty.
5 o'clock at Liberty.
Will the policy committee, I'm not on the policy committee, will the policy committee accept my commentary, which is going to be copious, about these new policies, and take them under consideration?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, anything you want to give them to look at?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
there are literally dozens of, as you've pointed out, places where it's very problematic. And I think one of them, you brought
Hap,
up.
we're in discussion, Hap, we're going to go ahead and close here, we've really hashed this out, I think, pretty good, and we're not even voting on it, we're just.
Oh,
going
well,
to
I
get it
understand,
done.
yeah.
And so, you've shared.
All
and-
right, well, you'll be receiving a extremely long document maybe before that.
Okay, okay. And so, let's see where we're at now. Okay, we need a D, am I correct? A special called meeting, February the 12th. And so, I make a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, discussion?
Second?
Okay. Second was already made, Hap, so we're going into discussion.
She didn't hear, she was quiet.
There's no discussion.
Okay. Hearing none, all in favor, okay, for this meeting then, raise your hand. Okay, any opposed, like sign. See none. That brings us to E, the Constitution, Article 5, word change. I want to make a motion to table 8E, this one. And so, do I have a second?
Yeah, second.
A second. All in favor to table this motion, raise your hand. Okay. Any opposed, like sign, seeing none. So, let's see here. Going to F, the library card policy update and the holiday checkout limit change 5 to 10. And so if you'd like to speak to that information.
So this is just a change to increase the number of holiday books that can be checked out on each card. The current limit is 5, and our staff feels that we now have enough holiday books in our collection that we could increase that to 10. So that's the proposed change.
Okay. So, as a motion,
Can I ask a question? I don't understand what you mean by holiday books, like Christmas
We have,
books? Or?
yeah, so we have, in our youth collections, we separate the holiday books out so that they're easier to find for parents. Or teachers, whoever's checking out children's books. So we have like Halloween books, Christmas books, St. Patrick's Day. So currently, each card is only allowed to check out 5 of those books at a time. So we are wanting to change the checkout limit to 10.
A number keeps somebody from wiping out all the Halloween books on one
Yeah.
card. So there has to be some sort of restriction for,
Right.
somebody can't come in and take all of our Valentine's Day books, but they can have 10 is what we're proposing. Because we
Right.
have more now than we did when this policy was first put in place.
okay, so to have a motion for this additional 5, I think.
So moved.
Okay, so moved. So, any discussion? I think we've had it. So, all in favor, just raise your hand. Okay. See any opposed, like signs, seeing none. So, do I have a motion to be adjourned?
Danny, before you adjourn, I just would like to ask a favor of anyone who is producing highly edited documents like these collection policies, to use the edit function in Word so that we know what's been changed and what's been retained. Because I had to go through this thing, patch together what was actually retained and what wasn't. So that's just a request for the future.
So,
Makes sense.
all in favor of adjourning, raise your hand. Meeting is now adjourned. Thank you.